even know. And you know, I know there's a lot of things that happen in this world. A lot of people suffer. I watched a woman one time suffer bad in her body. And the Lord spoke to me, and I prayed. That was a good, godly woman. Y'all might remember, she lived here. We watched Sister King. That was a godly woman. I watched that woman her 9 days. She suffered on that bed. And I remember praying one day. I said, God, why, Lord, do you allow people like that to suffer? Why do they suffer like that? And the Lord spoke to me and said, you watch what I'm going to do. Amen. Those dying hours, that boy will come in that bedroom. They'll down by that bed. Said, Mom, I just want you to know that I made everything right. And I will see you then. They said it wasn't but a couple hours after that God took Ron out of this world. But that suffering changed that boy's life. And you know what? If that's what it was for, Sister Margaret, that's worth it all. I mean, that's worth it all. Amen. To know that I would have to suffer, that God would get a hold of one, I know that's worth it all, because that's what Jesus Christ did for us. Amen. That's fulfilling the law of Christ. Amen. But I thought to myself, what an obligation we have. Amen. The Bible said that Solomon, whenever David was dying, and David, his heart, he said, man, I want to build a temple for God to dwell. That was David's heart. That's what he wanted. God told him, he said, David, you're not going to get to do that, son. You're not going to be able to build a temple for me because your hands are shed innocent blood. You're a man of war. You fought. He said, but nevertheless, David, I'll raise up a seed in you. And they'll be able to build that temple. And I begin to read about how Solomon, the Bible said that whenever he finished that temple, the Bible said Solomon did everything that was in his father's heart. In other words, what the Bible was saying is Solomon looked at David's life and was impacted, Sister Rhonda, to the place where he said, I'm going to do what that man wanted. I'm going to build that temple. And you know what the Bible said? The Bible said Solomon charged those men that was bringing those cedars in. Said, don't you bring a hammer on this premises. Not one tool. Everything that'll be made, it'll be made in another city. And when you bring it on this place, there'll be silence because it's holy unto God. Amen. I thought to myself, the passion that man took. You say, preacher, where did it come from? It come from an example that he had. The Bible says David was a man after God's own heart. Amen. When Samuel comes to anoint David, Jesse said, surely this one's a tall young man. He'll be perfect for the job. But Samuel said, God, don't look on the outward. Man looking on the outward. But God looks in the heart. Listen to me. Solomon took on that burden to build that temple because he had somebody to follow. And he bare that yoke. Amen. Whenever I read that, and it said Solomon did all that was in King David's heart. I said, my Lord, David impacted that man's life to the place where he was passionate. He was passionate for building that temple. Just like David wanted. Solomon didn't build that thing according to what he wanted. He built that thing according to what David's vision of that temple was. Everything that David desired. God allowed Solomon to do it. Oh, what a testimony. Amen. What a testimony of being an example. Amen. What a testimony of being somebody that people could look up to and follow. I thought to myself, my Lord, they left me in the ground, Sister Rhonda. And the end result, they say that Jacob did all that was in his father Samuel's heart to fulfill the ministry of God. I said, my Lord, what an example that would be. Sister Rhonda, in your dying days, they said Jared Strickland did all that was in Rhonda Strickland, his mother's heart. I think to tell you what a testimony. Amen. To have your children to take on the legacy that you set before them. It's only going to come if we separate ourselves wholly unto God. Amen. I begin to think about those examples. I thought to myself, my Lord, what a powerful example Elijah was to Elisha. That all it took was a mantle. Throw it up. Elisha said, my Lord, let me tell Mom and Daddy what's going on. I'm coming, buddy. I'm coming after you. Amen. What a powerful example. Amen. That even after those sons of the prophets, Oh, they coming down there, those prophets of Baal, man, you better not follow him, that fellow's going to die. Lord, he's asking Elijah, where's the next place we're going, buddy? Where are we going to dance? Hey, man, there wasn't nothing that toward him. Hey, man, Brother Bill, I'm convinced Elisha looked and saw something. Said, my Lord, that's a good example of what I intend to be when I get older. I think I'll follow him. Here they go to this one city, and he fulfills his ministry there. They go into another city. Then they go across Jordan. He grabs that land of Spice, Jordan.